Good afternoon, good evening, and good day. Good morning to those of you on the West Coast. And for those of you in the Southwest, good luck dealing with this hurricane. And make sure you're safe. Just don't worry about the property. Take care of your family. All that stuff can be replaced. Said by somebody who tends to just leave whenever the evacuation orders come through here on the East Coast. Let's check the audio. You're good. And yeah, you can do it in an EV. I've evacuated for hurricane at least 4 or 5 times. Just fine. Make sure you charge it before you're supposed to leave, and then after that, all right. So audio was working. I checked that in YouTube. Pink hand. It's like an animated glove hand on the YouTube, but in this software, it changed it to the code they used to get the emote. All right. So Patrick sent us an article, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But we've got a lot to talk about today. Not a little 5 hour monster because, well, it's my anniversary. So if I were on here for 5 hours, it wouldn't be a very pleasant anniversary. Let's see. Where's my share button at? Who moved my cheese? Share screen. Let's see. Some of these I know about. None of these I've read. So let's get to it. So you get a blogger reacts view to make it more appropriate for what's going on here. All right. So uh, check your frame for a second. You're a little laggy. Yeah, I see that. Wonder if it's my load on the computer. Let me also check the camera and see. 30. That's not the right fraps. It's supposed to be. And then it should get better as I find the articles because, oh, okay, so it cleared up. So maybe it was my internet connection. I do have a backup of cellular, but it should be sending everything through the fiber. Absolutely, thank you. Yeah. All right, so this first one is unpopular opinion: why we need more motorcycles for children and not fewer. So what got me about this one was not the title, because children don't need motorcycles, but the first little blurb. They were talking about the e-bikes and the recent situation. Like we talked about the 13-year-old who lost his e-bike because it was too powerful for even an adult with a license, and he was unlicensed and not following any of the rules of the traffic. And that prompted me to want to discuss this particular aspect of it. Let's skim through and see if the article, if the author is on the same vein as I am. Instead of fearing these rider training tools, we should be advised to embrace them and encourage more parents to put their kids on one. I mean, recent NYT hit piece named the K1D, or KID, California Electric Bike Maker Super 73, two-wheeler design for children. Yeah, I'm not going to read this. I wanted to discuss what we were going to discuss. I like the premise. There's nothing wrong with a good e-bike. I just want to make sure the kids know how to be safe. And if you can keep them out of cars, that's that many less cars on the road. The problem comes in areas like mine where it is unsafe physically to ride a bicycle of any capacity. We've got sidewalks in our neighborhood. As soon as you get to the main road, it's boom, 50 miles an hour. It's 45, but like a little bit past it, you get 55, and a little bit the other way. It's no sidewalks. There's a huge ditch. There's no median, even no edge of the road. There's just a ditch. It's often full of water. So it's really twofold. We want to encourage the kids not to have to ride a car everywhere, and we also want to make it safe for them to actually ride. Not just them, but make it so that you can ride. Not every trip should require a car, especially simple stuff like going to the grocery store. If you still use the library, hopefully you do. Maybe not every day, but libraries are good resources. Um, I understand maybe not to and from work because to get those primo commutes to work tend to make the housing a little bit closer to unaffordable, but it's all in how you design the spaces and how you keep them up. Like this place here would be super expensive to add sidewalks everywhere, but it could be done. And a lot of the stuff is close enough that that's not a bad thing to do. But when it's literally inches from life and death to walk down the street, uh, it's not going to work. People aren't going to choose to do that. I have seen over the years. I have seen maybe 6 people walking, and because of the design of the street, they're walking in the street at 55 miles an hour rather than not they're walking that fast, but the speed limit's still that high. They're walking in the street, and uh, it's not it's not the best situation. Like I said, the distances aren't. It's not like we're rural. The distances aren't bad to make it more walkable. It's just you have to have the political will and spend a little bit of money. But like an example, even for cars, they're not willing to spend the money they need. At the end of our street, there's like a half a turn lane, and if 2 cars take it up, it's full. So in the morning, you get these long lines of people trying to commute. That some people need to turn right, most people are going left or straight, and some people will just drive in the grass. But it wasn't really built for that. So now you need like an off-road capable vehicle to be able to leave the pavement to. Not that you should be doing it anyway, but to be able to leave the pavement to kind of cut to that right turn and make it a little easier on everybody else. But they've got the room to expand it and make it a little better. And apparently, it's been on there for longer than I've owned the property, and it's just not happening. So, further than making it easier for cars, they also need to spend even more money and prep the place for sidewalks. And you got to do this all over the country, and not just all over the country, but all over the world. Some countries get it, and they try to build things appropriately. But here in North America, Canada, U.S., Mexico, isn't really a priority, and it should be. All right, so I'm going to put a link to that article in the chat if you want to read the whole thing, what the author had to say. But like I said, I picked up on it for that little bit about how I was reminded about the 13-year-old who got his bike confiscated. And I'm not saying that you should have a e-bike more powerful than a motorcycle, just that we should be able to be walkable. And not just walkable, but also riding a bike. Because this place, if you were to walk it, it would be the whole of your morning and then the whole of your afternoon. But with a bicycle, it's just a couple minutes if it were safe. And yes, legally you have the whole road. Try telling that to some of these people in their phone texting at 60 miles an hour in the 55 or faster. All right, so some of you folks like to go boating. Some of you folks are like me, trying to reduce your carbon footprint as far as your direct output. So if you want to continue to boat and you like to do it on electric, but you looked and the electric boats were really expensive, here are some less expensive options that are out there now. We talked about the one of the first boats, partially owned by GM that went to the NACS, but I didn't look and see how affordable they were. I just like that they could be charged at the supercharger while you're on the way or on the way out, or if they put a supercharger on the dock. All right, electric boating isn't new. The Candela and X-Shore for a couple months' salary. Luxury boats. All right, so the Veer V13 is this little dude right here. Brunswick, which also owns Mercury Marine, popular outboard engine maker. So they're powered by Mercury drivetrains. Go figure. All right, what's your price? Electric adds a $2,100 premium. That's not a bad. It's not a bad bump. All right, so it's 13 foot or 4 meters. Made of polyethylene. It's like a fun little boat. The Trin Trawler E-Venture bundle. All right, so the base model is $4,700 and the deluxe is $5,400. It's not bad. It's more like something I put on a lake than out in the ocean, though. The Go Float Vortex. Huh. It looks like a paddle boat. $6,900. And the Go Boat 2.0. I had to double check the names on that one. This one's like interesting. Under $1,000 though. $700 for the kid size version. There you go. Okay, there we go. Something a little bit more substantial in size. The Quietude 156 is $35,495. Not terrible. I mean, these, as you go up in size, the price goes up. And it's still under that 60 and 70, the first electric boats we looked at on here. Not here today, but like since we've been looking at electric boats. All right, so this one, the Lightning Bug, is only $27,000. Okay. $4,000 for this dude. All right, the one from the picture, $4,200. $1,000. Sorry, $42,000. This one might be kind of fun if you're out there like fishing or something. What are we looking at? $795. Can't bring a friend though. The backpack series. I wonder if it is backpackable. Inflatable pontoons go from in a bag to on the water in just a few minutes. Look at that. Let's see. Run my Corby 21-foot Sailor. Serious little boat from 120-pound thrust, 24-volt outboard Alibaba motor. There you go. And a pair of 24-volt, 90-amp-hour lithium iron phosphate batteries. Homemade, loosely following the book by Check Notes Micah Tall. He wants to say Michael because of the way the two names go. Costs about $1,200 plus the sailboat. That's not bad. It'll be about 4.5 knots, 4 nanometers per kilowatt hour. Oh, Newton meters per kilowatt hour at full throttle. Nautical miles. Nautical miles. We're talking water. That makes more sense. Not much more efficient than a Tesla, but to be fair, Tesla comfortably exceeds 4.5 knots. That's true. Congrats. All right, so let's see what we got here. Can't bring your friends. Yeah, exactly. Oh, what? I don't know why it thinks I'm not signed in. Oh, you know what? I bet you I'm really not signed in. All right, let's switch over here and get signed in. So that guy can get his little upvote. Again. Oh, I see why. Now that makes sense. Oh, she's asleep already? You guys left like 6 minutes ago. She's asking me and then what?
When she's sleeping, she's like, and stop walking.
She stopped walking at the carrier.
Okay, I know that.
And now she's asleep. It's so cute. So 17 minutes ago, they left on a little walk, and Moto was missing me, and then she gave up. All right, let's copy the password, paste it here, get the email. And incorrect email or password. Well, you can't paste your password. 'Cause I hit paste, and then space, and then backspace, and it worked. All right, so back to what you guys are looking at. All right, so Rad Power Bikes has reached 600,000 e-bikes sold, and they're giving away an e-bike. Well, it's not our last e-bike story today either, not including the first one either. Got another one about an e-bike manufacturer that's not as cool as this one. All right, so let's see. That's really all I wanted to say about them. Is they hit their 600,000, and there was a giveaway, and to give you guys a link to the article so you can find out about getting one yourself. Moving on. So up in the Northeast, specifically, was it Vermont? I was thinking Connecticut, but it's Vermont. We've got a Powerwall leasing program from Green Mountain Power, sorry, and they've been running this for a little bit. We talked about it on and off about how you could, if you qualified, you could get your Powerwalls from the power company for cheap, like super cheap, and then they would also let you participate in their virtual power plant program. And they've expanded they've got a wait list of 1,200 customers, but they've expanded it so you can um, maybe hop in line and see if you can't get in with their new expansion. So if you're in Vermont and you'd like a power wall on the power company from Green Mountain Power, you want to say electric, you can go here and take a look. All right, so this one was fun to me because I like the idea of the Rivian Camp Kitchen, and when they discontinued it, that was disappointing to me. But they did say they'd look at it again later and have to redesign it. And if this isn't just a variant patent, it sounds like it's not. Excuse me, because the way it just kind of popped up, it would have popped up with the other one if that was the case. And so it looks like the Camp Kitchen may soon be making a return to the Rivian R1T. Hopefully, the R2T has still has the pass through, and it's either similar in size or this will fit in both. All right, so sleuths on the Rivian forum have pointed out that American EV automakers' latest patent for a modular kitchen mounting apparatus. Could this be the next iteration of the defunct Camp Kitchen? If it gets made, it's certainly not going in the gear tunnel. Well, I guess not then. Let's see. Oh, I wonder if this is like the one that Tesla showed us on the Cybertruck launch site, where there was like a camp kitchen hanging out the back of the truck. That might be easier to do. Hidden flashlights, removable Bluetooth speaker, air compressor. Okay. Those are all in there today. Add-on options like the Yakima rooftop tent, tunnel shuttle. The tunnel shuttle was part of the camp kitchen. Temporary pause. According to this week, they may have found their next camp kitchen design. This actually looks really cool to me. Like it folds out a little bit, just like the other one, but less clunky. And it might be a little easier to do as a single person rather than multiple people. Interesting. Yeah, definitely on the tailgate. See, there's the tailgate. But this would also mean that it might work on the R1S. Possibly. Look at that opening there. That looks like an SUV tailgate. Could the Rivian Camp Kitchen now come to the R1S as well? I was thinking the same thing. Systems and methods presented herein are for mounting apparatus configured to arrange a retractable kitchen within a vehicle enclosure. The mounting apparatus comprises the first slot configured to accommodate an alignment protrusion of a kitchen module. All right, so that's just engineering speak for what they did there in the picture. With a wider design compared to the original camp kitchen, that lived in the gear tunnel exclusive to the R1T, we can't help but wonder if R1S owners might be able to add this new piece of equipment to their EV if it actually gets made. And that's key. Don't hold your breath on this. Be excited. Get ready to plunk down some ducats if you want it, but it might not happen. Sometimes, a lot of times, companies will patent stuff that they don't actually make. And that's what it says right there. All right, moving on. All right, so we may have showed you the Myers Manx 2.0 EV in passing. There's a price now. It's a cute little bug-eyed monster, little tub, probably loosely based on the VW Bug, just like the original gas versions of these things. Resurrection of the iconic dune buggy, which started as a kit car built on a modified VW Beetle chassis. It's popular in the 60s as desert racer and beach cruiser. Kit cost $500 to $1,000 in 1967 dollars, plus whatever it costs to get the various VW Beetle parts you needed to complete the build. But the 2.0 is its own beast, built from the ground up. Oh, okay. As a 1,500-pound all-terrain EV, with a choice of 20 or 40 kilowatt-hour battery with 60 kilowatt charging. What? Oh, so this thing will DC fast charge faster than your Chevy Bolt. 202 horsepower and 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds for the bigger battery version. Of course, no doors. So where do they shock us with the price? That is still beautiful. $74,000. Whoa! I can get myself a large Model S for that. At least at one point. I don't know what this is going for these days. Speaking of, I don't know if I mentioned it last time or not, because I consider it to be the usual Tesla price machinations, but they software locked the battery on the S and the X and dropped the price by another $10,000. So it's even easier to get into an S and X these days. 74 grand. That makes it kind of a toy, an expensive toy. They're taking $500 deposits. It's really expensive for this. I mean, I can see why it probably just totally prices out, considering that they're probably going to be a lower production, and the battery's quite large. And it's got decent fast charging. Wow. I'm no stranger to pricey early EV programs, having participated as a driver of the original Mini E in 2009, which started off as a lease-only deal at $950 a month. Ooh, back then that was a stout payment. It was great fun being part of a group of 500 people, several of whom I still keep in touch with, and feeling like we had part in shaping the future of BMW's EV programs and even the EV industry as a whole. And they kind of did. It's why I'm even here to begin with. It's what started my EV journey. So the idea of Max's beta program being brought back, brought back fond memories of the time for me. That said, we had hoped a small stripped-down EV for getting around town or using it as a beach or desert toy would be more affordable than this. Yeah, I thought they were going to say it was like $35,000, $40,000 and be saying, "Ooh, that's a lot of money." They doubled me. $74,000. That's a lot of money. Some very wealthy beach dwellers who don't mind spending almost double the price of an average new car in America for a car that will pretty much necessarily be a secondary or partial use vehicle. What's up, Anders? Good to see you. Yeah, the price reductions on the Tesla have been great. Uh, the price on this dune buggy, though, they will find customers, but hopefully they'll be working on their production ramp and getting that down. Maybe the future model with the different equipment, different colors or something, so that more people can enjoy it. I mean, as the article pointed out, the original dune buggy was not all that expensive. I mean, it was noticeable. $100 and $1960 was a lot of money, but it wasn't like this a lot of money. Zachary says, "I'm on the road coming home from Niagara Falls. Nice to listen to. Thank you. Do drive safe. I'm glad to have you along." Let's see. Not really fair to compare this to the higher production vehicles from established companies. I was getting at that, yeah. Given that the Leaf and the Bolt exist in the sub 30 range and each have battery capacities of 40 kilowatt hours or larger, are twice as big and have a lot more real car things in the cockpit, touchscreen infotainment. We'd hoped to see something a little closer to that. So that brings up a point for me right there. Why not take a bolt or a leaf, take the doors off, get some high flotation tires, and redo the original dune buggy situation with one of them, and come out with less money spent than this thing. Moreover, why didn't these folks do something like that, like the original Beetle-based dune buggy? Oh, wow, thank you, Zachary. Thanks for the great work that you do. Um, yeah, so if this company could have bought a couple of, like, maybe not total leafs, but, like, yeah, total leafs, and total, bolts, they wouldn't charge at 60 kilowatts, no, but they wouldn't you wouldn't have to feel like you were wasting a car by cutting the roof off and taking the doors away to do that. I mean, yeah, it'd be more expensive than a customer doing it, but I would think it would come out less expensive than 74 grand. Especially considering that the heritage of the Mac 2 was not expensive. Yes, exactly. So the author and I are on a wavelength here. Uh, wavelength. As mentioned above, and in this Car and Driver article from 1967, when it came out in the 60s, you could build one for as little as $800. That's the equivalent of $7,000 in 2023 dollars. See, that's what I'm saying. $100 was noticeable, but it wasn't an obstacle to making those cars. 7,000 in today's dollars. Um, After accounting for general inflation levels, though, you'd spend up to around 4,000 if you really tricked it out, which is about 36,000 in 2023 dollars. Boom! Right where I was saying they could be. Heck, at this price, you could probably even buy an original one and convert it to electric. It's totally true, because it is based on the Beetle. Last week we talked about the Porsche 911 kit. There are a lot more kits available for the Bug to turn the Bug into electric, and so yeah, the author's right here that you could totally take an original and convert it to electric if you're not a super purist, and hopefully you're not taking a museum piece and doing it, but like just one that was actually used. Yeah, which for other vehicles is never really the economical choice, but here it might be cheaper than doing a new base model Max too. I agree. Wow. All right, let's see what people have to say about it. $74,000 for a car with about as much amenities as your average car bumper. I think they jumped the shark. You compare it to a Bolt or a Leaf, but no one is driving this to work. Uh, what this really should be compared to is a Polaris Slingshot or the jacked up golf carts that are all the rage anywhere the sun shines more than 300 days a year. A Slingshot in the $20,000 to $40,000 range, and a golf cart is $10,000 to $20,000. And the golf cart's usually already electric. I saw a billboard the other day when I went to go visit my dad. They were advertising the all lithium, and I was like, "What all lithium? What are they talking about?" Because it didn't occur to me. Uh, golf carts are either gas or lead acid typically, and so they were trying to say that they have an electric golf cart that can seat the whole family, and it's all lithium, so it's a lithium ion rather than lead. Yeah, so if you can get that for so much less, it wouldn't necessarily be as fun as a dune buggy for the speeds and stuff, but as the commenters and the author pointed out, you could do it yourself for less than 74. Let's see. Okay, so the target price for this should be 35 to 50,000. That's what I was thinking it would be, and they would only call that expensive. For 75,000 or $125,000 for the launch edition. Oh, ouch! It's almost double the double for the launch edition. I didn't realize that. There are so many better and cooler things to buy. I requested my $500 deposit back. I bet a lot of other people do too. I don't blame you. 17,000, not a penny more. Can't. Wow. What a total disgrace. There's nothing more than one way for many of the ultra wealthy to flaunt their money. Well, I don't think this is meant to flaunt. I think they just really didn't have their cost controls in place when they were making this reproduction of the original thing. At least I hope that's what it is. Because if you can come in at a lower price point, you can get more customers. You can pay off the investment earlier, and you can then get to making a profit. EV type mode transportation for the rich. This needs to be a lot lower price. A lot more lower priced usable EVs only for the commuter cars. This was never going to be for low income people or commuters, given the nature of the vehicle. But it should be priced closer to a commuter car than 3 of them. I mean, I would get it if it was like a Bentley or something that was meant to be luxury, and it was the base model. But this is a toy. It's a beach cruiser. Unless they're going for possibly, say they're going for a racing series, like it's gonna be a pro race vehicle. That might justify the price. I can see a couple of race teams with sponsors spending this much money and getting 2 or 3 of them. But is dune buggy racing still a thing? I mean, I've seen a few, uh, be done up in the style. I don't know if they were actually off to the races. Dead on arrival at this price. It's a shame because I would have been a fun little retro weekender car for enthusiasts. Only extremely wealthy would pay that much for an impractical sunny day vehicle that likely won't be used more than 1,000 miles a year. All right, so the comments don't like this thing. Should be priced at 17,000 and make them at a loss until manufacturing economies of scale are met. It will flop. That would be a possibility. I don't know if you can get your costs down enough that you can do that. And I don't know what you can take off it to make the price lower other than just making them better and making them cheaper that you could justify dropping the price. And hey, those folks were early adopters. This might be another one of those ones where I say, hey, I want all EVs to do well, but I don't see this one catching on. But I mean, you could have figured that just by when I read the price. I guess I'll get my $500 back. I was hoping the 20 kilowatt version would at most be half of their asking price. So also thinking what I was thinking. What a money grab! Shame. I was looking forward to driving it around town, but not any further. Reserved 8/21/22. Cancel today. My Rivian R1T launch edition was $74,000. Oh snap! That's right. And that is a premium vehicle. I don't want to say luxury, but it's a premium vehicle. It's got all the bells and whistles, around 400 miles range. I don't know which launch edition he got. 4-wheel drive. I don't know if it was be 2 motors or 4 motors or which one he went with. Lane keep assist, great radio, beautiful screen, comfortable seats, nice wood dash, USB everywhere, gear guard, cameras, height adjustable suspension, big old wheels and tires. Yeah, would be. You'd have to tow it there too because it wouldn't necessarily have the range to get where you're going unless you leave it at a beach house, or if you're in a coastal town, and like not on the outskirts, but like in the middle of the town where you can reach the beach. You'd have to trailer it. So, what you got back there? Oh, just my second Rivian R1T launch edition. Really? It looks like a plastic bucket. Because it is. Mm. Is the roof a pricey option to squeeze some more from the rich folks? The roof is optional? Not just something you can just take off or put back on? Another reason for most Americans to see EVs as elitist rather than mainstream. The mean yearly income for American households is a bit less than the price of this joke. I'll give them that. Price is pretty steep. I once owned a dune buggy. Do not recommend using a Volkswagen Beetle as your vehicle basis. Cars are a lot better today. Note that the Pismo Beach Oceano dunes are now under debate and may be closed to dune buggies. Oceano. The locals do not like the noise and pollution associated with ice-powered buggies. Pismo is is only beached in CA where it's currently presently legal to drive them. So you have a point there. So the fossils may make it something you can't even do before they can deliver your vehicle. And Dave predicted $95,000 for the base version. This is a play for the affluent buyer who wants a fun car to leave at their beach house. All right, so let's move on because we see where the consensus is with that. Let's look at something even more expensive than a dune buggy. The Tesla Megapack deliveries have slipped all the way to 2025 despite the production ramp. So we saw either on the Tesla Life show or on here or both a field of like around 200 Megapacks that had just been dropped off in the delivery yard. So 2025. So yes, the price of the Megapack has gone up. I think they're what, $2 million now. But the price and capacity have gone up, but also the tax incentive has gone up as well. So that explains why everybody's getting in line for this thing, despite the fact that they're harder to get, they cost more. There were a couple events in Texas where something like 3% of the Megapack was paid off with one grid outage or grid event. It wasn't really an outage because the Megapacks helped keep it online, and so it's a good investment. So that's why the demand is going gangbusters, even though they can't keep up with it. Wow. 2025. It'll be 2026 before long if they keep this up. They're opening another Megapack facility. I think they said in China and in the US as well at some point, but we aren't there yet. Speaking of Tesla Energy, makeshift Tesla Powerwall-based power station helps Maui amid fires. And I saw this touched on in a bunch of different places, but none of them had this picture up where I was seeing the headlines, so I didn't think to look at them. I was thinking it was on people's houses, but the premise is that they've got Starlink and Powerwall helping these folks out. So it looks like they're palletized, and I'm guessing that we're gonna skim through it, but I'm guessing that they like let you hook up and charge your phone and laptop and stuff through it. Let's see. Tesla and its partners in May are helping the local population, helping the local local population in Maui amid the devastating fires with interesting looking makeshift Tesla Powerwall based stations. In recent days, Maui was hit by wildfires and that have ravaged communities, taking the lives of over 100 people, and many are still missing. Yesterday, Elon said that both companies were doing their best to be helpful in Hawaii. Tesla and SpaceX and Starlink are doing our best to be helpful in Hawaii. Any specific example we'd like to be happy to report on them. And then we've got this here. SpaceX confirmed that it sent hundreds of Starlink antennas and routers to keep the locals connected amid the infrastructure being destroyed. As for Tesla, it wasn't clear what it was doing to help, but we're starting to get a better idea. Local Will Kane shared a video of Tesla Power Station helping to provide power to his affected area. Hawaii is about community, family, ahona, and love, aloha. Community and private citizens have done things the right way too. Pono, not government, for Lahaina. 50 plus Starlinks, Tesla power stations. That's help for, I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering your guys' language, Kukta. And I think you might get invited to the Hui. Elon, watch.
Let me show you what community is, okay? I'm not talking about government. I'm talking about private citizens. This is Hawaiian Homes. This is Archie Kalepa's house. And let me show you another community private member. Not part of the community, but certainly giving to the community. Starlink, everywhere. Tesla, batteries, running communications for this entire area of Lahaina. That is where everyone comes. I just want to show you something, okay? So you know what you're giving to, what it's helped saving, okay? Just want to show you what you've become a part of as well, Elon. There's the line, right there. There's the line. That's how close it got to the community leader, Archie Kalepa's house, which is now the whole neighborhood powered by Starlink and Tesla. As they'd say, man, appreciate you.
There you go. The piece of paper on the station reads Tesla and Rising Sun Solar Maui Community Power Station, which indicate that Tesla has partnered with Rising Sun Solar, a Tesla certified certified solar and Powerwall installer, to provide the station. The station seems to consist of 2 power walls and a solar inverter on a skid with some plywood. There you go. Smart. It should provide 27 kilowatt hours of energy capacity, and if connected with some solar panels, can be charged back by the sun. While it might not look good, it seems a pretty efficient way to quickly deploy significant power and energy capacity in minutes. Good on you. Good job, guys. Aloha energy. FFS. This would be so much easier if Tesla just had made power export vehicle to load, vehicle to grid standard, or even optional. I don't know about vehicle to grid, but yeah, vehicle to load would be really nice on your vehicles. Maui's a big island. There are other towns and cities on it, and Tesla vehicles have wheels, so they can be moved pretty easily. You think it's easy powering 650 Starlings each kit powered by an EV? Why? Why not? I think the smallest battery they ever offered was 40 kilowatt hours, and 2 power walls is, as they said, was what 27 kilowatt hours. So that's half of Model S40. Would have been better if Elon did nothing, so people like yourselves don't have to disparage his intent. Who? What? I didn't see any disparaging going on in this article. Okay, so Fred said the same thing. He's like, "What? I wasn't disparaging that." Okay, so he said not Fred. I didn't see any posts like what you're talking about yet either. Yeah, I agree. That's how I took it. Fred had to block someone now. Oh, that's another controversy coming on. Elon thinks that we don't need the block feature on Twitter. We'll see what happens with that because people are expressing that that's freaking stupid. I'm sad, but I'm glad Elon is helping. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we saw many times in the past where one of the companies or more of the companies have helped, or him directly. Like, if it's him directly, he doesn't always telegraph it. But if it's one of the companies, every other company that donates stuff, they are always bragging about it too. So why is it any different if he does it, or if they do it, I should say? Here's what U.S. utilities need to do to prevent faults on the grid. It was the headline that caught me on this one. Let's see what their suggestions are. Compared to mechanical systems, power electronics are much faster acting, and they're affected by faults in distant parts of the grid. But researchers at OR and L have pointed out that most power companies have not adjusted their planning to reflect these digital technology changes. This is totally true. That's why they freak out when you add batteries to their grid, because their peaker plants are no longer needed. That's just protectionism right there, rather than caring about their customer, caring about the environment. And they're not all that way. I mean, because you look at some power companies are just directly deploying power packs and mega packs and competition. Not in competition with Tesla, but like the Leaf, the dead Leaf battery pack vault, for instance. I was hoping there'd be bullet points. I don't see them. And I should have read it earlier, but I didn't. Like I said, big day today. All right, so I'm not going to close this one. I'll come back to it later and see what happens. And do you want to close the makeshift Powerwall one? Jaguar is scrapping the I-Pace as part of the EV revamp. The electric four-door GT is due in 2024. So this vehicle was classed as a Tesla killer when it came out, and like so many other Tesla killers, it did no such thing. We spoke very recently about recall and fire issues with these, and about how they just done something. Slipped the mind as I was saying it. Um, uh, Obviously, if you have one of these, get your recalls done, and if it works for you, keep on trucking. But Jaguar could have done better with this vehicle, given that where they started, and how much time they had to get it right. And then, as we discussed from a previous iPace owner who was commenting on one of these iPace articles about how they never lived up to what was advertised. And not like the aspirational, if you buy this car, you'll have lots of beautiful potential mates. No, not that. Like, hey, here's the EPA range. And then, like, you couldn't even get the EPA range on the EPA test because they did something, I guess, for battery fires or whatever. Um, and numerous things like that. And how the latest model still didn't actually achieve what they promised. So, those are fun. Confirmed the move to Autocar. He said the iPace will be discontinued before the company's relaunch in 2025, alongside the rest of its current model range. They're looking for a fresh start, and the iPace will not be included even as a bridge vehicle. Okay, so their whole brand is not doing so well, it sounds like. Well, hopefully they can survive and come back on the EV side of things. iPace is still one of the best looking all electric SUVs. Just a shame they never really did much to improve its range or lower the price, says Cypress. Right. So we may have touched on this at some point in the past. It was a replica car. Bentley and Little Car Company go beyond vintage with an all-electric, street-legal Blower Junior. And I think this would have been, what, 2 or 3 years ago we discussed it? So we're probably on the What Drives the Show. Unless this is a different model of the same concept. It's also a possibility. It was super expensive. I think it was like $50,000 to $70,000 when we talked about it last. Let's see. Built to Bentley Motors quality standards, and the all-electric Bentley Blower Junior, inspired by the former's historic 1929 car number 2. So it's based on the same car. I don't know why it's making the news again. Have they ramped the production? Bentley has announced its Beyond 100 electrification strategy. Maybe Bentley asked them to make some more now that they've got this marketing strategy. For that kind of money, I expect it to at least be as fast as a first-gen Leaf. It's 85% scale, though. 3.7 meters long, or 12.1 feet. 48-volt electric powertrain with 15 kilowatt motor. Top speed of 45 in the UK and EU. 25 mile per hour in the US due to legislation. I wonder if there's a switch you can toggle after delivery. Expected range around 65 miles. 10 sitting for 2 adults. You know what? I wonder if it's making the news because it's now finally delivering, because there was like 1 or 2 of them out there when we saw the video the first time around. Carbon fiber reach structure rather than ash like the original. Ash wood. Front housing capable of level 1 or 2 speeds. Fuel pressure pump repurposed as the drive mode selector with a choice of comfort, 2 kilowatts, Bentley, 8 kilowatts, or sport, 15 kilowatts. So yeah, they've just gone into production now then. To begin, the Little Car Company says they'll build 99 first editions, with each with unique badges and engraved number plaque, and the side panel and radiator carry a period correct racing number, and the steering wheel is rope bound, as seen above. These limited editions will cost £90,000 or $115,000. Wow, that's inflation really got to them. Like I said, it was $50,000 to $70,000 last time we saw it, excluding taxes and shipping. It's important to point out there that the Blower Junior is also the first completely street legal vehicle from the little car company. Oh, maybe that's what's different. Is that this one's street legal and the other one wasn't? Completely street legal in UK, EU, or US. The little electric Bentley will debut in front of a crowd of VIPs at Monterey Week this evening and make appearances throughout the annual event. I don't know. I mean, it still seems a car than the Dune Buggy. Just saying. And it's street legal. It's not a car, so it's limited. Yeah, that's awful. Like if you could get a Citroen Ami for, I don't know what, 10 grand, or this. I mean, this one looks cool, but the Ami would be more practical. If this doesn't show up in season 3 of Good Omens, what are we even doing here? I like that show. It's a little campy, but I like it. Car made for beauty and function, not like teardrop cars of today. While other moms turn to golf carts for their neighborhood errands, the cool ones turn to this. Oh, moving on. Ford and SK announced a new massive battery cathode factory in Quebec, in Quebec's Battery Valley. There you go. Bring it on back to America, baby. All right, so we talked about the end of the Titan last week. Now, Nissan is delaying the next gen Frontier. Delaying the next gen Frontier, needs a comma there, fuels mid-size EV pickup speculation. All right, so, yep, they talked about the Titan we just talked about. And the Frontier is delayed. And the reason the Frontier is delayed is probably like we talked about with the Titan, where that commenter pointed out that for the footprint and the amount of fees they'd have to pay for not getting the fuel economy at their size, Nissan said, yeah, let's just not do it. They'll now continue building the Frontier at Canton, Mississippi facility until 2029 model year. Previous generation lasted 17 years before its first major refresh in 2021. And although Nissan didn't offer an explanation for the extension, one supplier familiar with the matter told the publication that the refresh would have come just as it was preparing the Canton facility to build Nissan and Infiniti EVs. Yeah, it was nice seeing you there today, Volcano Girl. Make a point not to be a stranger. Have a good stream. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm saving Patrick's article to see if he has a chance to show up, and we'll get that later on if he doesn't, or save it for next week. But it's about electrifying all the things. All right, so is Nissan working on a mid-size EV pickup? I would say, yeah, we've seen this concept, and they would be foolish not to do it because everybody wants to make trucks. And if you can make a good right-size truck, something like maybe even a little smaller than the R1T, and to get a good range, reliability, and a decent recharging, you'd sell them. The reason we don't have normal size pickup trucks anymore is because everybody's had to make the footprint of their vehicle bigger so they can make it less fuel efficient, or at least keep it just as fuel efficient as the last one, rather than do what they told the government they could do decades ago when they showed off their advanced vehicle concepts. And the government said, great, you're going to do that by 2025. And they say, oh no, we don't have time to do that. 30 years is far too long, and or far too short. And then they pretended around last year or so, like, oh my goodness, they're holding us to the fire, blah, blah, blah. We thought they'd cave. And you can't do this to us. We were not prepared for this, as if it was the government's fault that they didn't do their homework for 30 years. And then they also kind of try to stoke fear and resentment by making people think that, oh no, they're going to come take your diesel from your driveway. They're doing no such thing. You just won't be able to buy a new one because everybody didn't do what they promised they would be doing, or promised they could do, and then the government said, "All right, good, you can do it. Now you will do it." This has been 30 years in the making, folks. All right, so let's see. Electrek's take. Electric pickup could help Nissan reclaim its status as leader, or at least remain competitive in the electric era. They sold 34,139 Frontiers through June this year, compared to 4,234 Leafs and 5,100 Nissan Arias. Almost 5,200, 5,195. There's a growing need for smaller EV pickups, and Nissan could fill this void with the electric Frontier. Yeah, something like the Maverick as an EV, like that class of just mid-size or previous full-size pickup truck can do a lot of work. It's something that you can just reach over and put stuff in the bed without having to need a ladder, or to be just tall like me to be able to reach over. And even then, I used to be able to just do it at waist height rather than kind of leaning up on the truck and reaching in there. All right, so moving on to the next thing. Speaking of the virtual power plants, the Tesla electric customers in Texas came out with an extra $100 in their pocket after the Texas event. So not only were the owners of Megapacks making money, the owners of Powerwalls were making money. Let's see. Company is an energy retailer, and so basically you're getting the auto bidder and everything working for you on the virtual plant level. Right. Tesla electric customers with Powerwall earned an average of $100 in the last 10 days while supporting the ERCOT grid through the heat wave in Texas. Here's your bill for July 13th through August 11th, a negative $130. Your bill from June to July was a negative $21. You got cash, baby. Sandbush Staffing says, my Tesla electric bill is once again zero, and with $124.42 owed to me. Thanks, Tesla team and Elon. It's still really early for the program, but it would appear to be able to extract a lot of value for homeowners out of Powerwall. That's also because of the situation in Texas, which is basically becoming too hot for humans during the summer. For example, Austin hit 40 straight days in a row of triple-digit heat. I believe it. We had a month, according to my power bill, a month where we had 3 or 4 days below 90 degrees Fahrenheit for the whole month. And we're not in Texas, we're in South Carolina. It'll be interesting to see how the Tesla electric program performs in other markets when Tesla starts expanding the offering. I think it'll be pretty good. Moving on. It's not the end of the e-bikes. Yamaha has launched a new online sale for its e-bikes. So if you want an e-bike and you like Yamaha, you can get Yamaha e-bikes for the 30th anniversary. Nice. Models range from $2,000 to $6,000. That's not bad. And Yamaha e-bikes aren't the typical bikes you'll find being sold online. Direct-to-consumer sales represent a large portion of U.S. e-bike market, most of limited to lower-cost e-bikes in the $1,000 to $2,000 range. Higher-end electric bikes can occasionally be found through direct-to-consumer channels, but are most frequently sold through a dealer network. The shift to online sales has been viewed warily by many dealers who see it as a potentially large loss of revenue. Do something to earn the customer back. In this case, Yamaha's system is designed to offer the best of both worlds, online shopping and dealer integration. Customers get to browse, compare, and purchase Yamaha's e-bikes online, yet those bikes are first delivered to the local Yamaha e-bike dealer to be professionally assembled before being provided to the customer. That's kind of nice. See? They're providing value. What do you get? It gets put together by a pro. And then you also get like the online experience, set price, no haggle, blah, blah, blah. So they get their, whatever their per bike cut is. And you don't have to worry about them upselling you, but they also don't get to upsell you. Let's see. There we go. That's the new Yamaha e-bikes. Fisker shares details of a new Alaska pickup, including battery sizes and the world's largest cup holder. That is one frumpy looking pickup truck. A bulldog, an English bulldog. 2 weeks after unveiling their first all-electric pickup prototype in California, Fisker is looking to pull some of the spotlight from Monterey and put it back on Alaska. The battery electric vehicle, I mean. All right, so they don't have much to share. We got a Ronin GT. 2025 arrival. Okay, so we can see this thing real soon. It's bigger than I thought. The bed length made me think Maverick, but it's closer to the Rivian. No problem with that, and really makes and really hope this makes it to market. Yeah. So that hypothetical Nissan Frontier has some competition. Oh, 230 to 340 miles of range, allegedly. 0 to 60 in 3.9 and 7.2 seconds. Those are fine. All right, and we'll just kind of skim over the rest of it because it is a concept and it's subject to change. All right, so I like to talk about Gogoro a lot, and now they have another competitor than just the Japanese consortium. Vanmo is now launching its self-service battery swapping e-motorcycle system. Let's see where Vanmo operates. There they are, Gogoro, leading the way, and Kimco hot on their heels. Now, Vanmo is launched on battery swapping stations. Where? Startup isn't brand new. They've already got experience of over 75,000 battery swaps under their belt since last December. What? Really? Did they run it for somebody else? No, the company recently changed its name, formerly Leporda. But they've also started by focusing on an underserved part of the market when it comes to battery swapping, South America. Oh, there you go. All right, so Gogoro handles like Asia. The Japanese consortium is in Japan, and Venmo will be in South America. Interesting. Gogoro also operates heavily in India. Venmo didn't develop its own motorbikes like Gogoro, but instead partners with existing manufacturers to operate a swapping as a service. For now, the service is available to customers who ride on a wide spectrum of motorcycles and types. That's pretty smart. All right, let's start talking about NACS. Texas officials, well, let's not do this one. It's too late. I'm already showing it to you. I don't like the slant in the title there. Officially forces Tesla's NACS on charging stations to get access to $400 million in subsidies. So the way the other article is written is much more neutral. Is that you have to have NACS and CCS1, as we talked about previously, where Texas was considering it, and then they had a bunch of folks tell them, stop, wait a minute, we got to think about it, blah, 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 delay. Texas said, nah, let's just keep going. So they've approved an initiative that would force charging stations to be equipped with NACS to get the money. Who wrote this? Fred wrote this? Okay, that makes sense. All right, so everybody started saying they'd get NACS, and so Texas said that we would do it. And then the Texas Transportation Commission said, people are telling us, wait. Yep. So then they pushed the vote back, and today it was made official that Texas on Wednesday approved its plan to require companies to include Tesla's technology in electric vehicle charging stations to be eligible for federal funds, despite calls for more time to re-engineer and test the connectors. There is no re-engineering necessary. Just follow the upcoming J3400 standard or buy it from Tesla. And 2012 to 2023 is 11 years, right? Yeah. So 11 years of use and testing. You don't need anything more than 11 years of testing. Come on. They're just delaying for delay's sake. Just like we talked about that particular union that was like, oh no, our manufacturer only builds gas trucks. What are we going to do when you switch to EVs? We're going to lose our jobs. Don't do it. Make sure your union people are building all those electric trucks. Done. Now the requirement is a state requirement on top of the federal requirements. And the states are the ones who actually are administering the funds in their states this time rather than direct to the feds. So that's how Kentucky, Washington State, and Texas are able to do this. Let's see. Therefore, charging stations in Texas will need to have both CCS and NACS connectors to get access to federal money. Texas will receive more money for EV charging stations from the federal government than any other state at $407 million. Wow. And on top of that, they also have to have uptime, a good uptime. I think this is the ideal outcome. We have dual handles for the foreseeable future with a gradual phase out of CCS as it falls out of use. I like your thinking, Phil Geek. The money will be granted and deployed over 5 years. And Electrek says this is that's the right move. If the federal government doesn't do it, other states should follow, or they simply won't be spending that money efficiently. That's quite a take, Fred, given the article title you chose there. And I say you because the first paragraph was the same wording as the headline, so you can't blame it on somebody else. Not only is the momentum clearly on the NACS side to become the new standard in North America, but there are already more electric vehicles on U.S. roads with NACS connectors than CCS connectors. Always has been. Astronaut meme. It's a no-brainer. I knew there would be some detractors in here. The most stations in the U.S. at the moment are NACS. And something like 2/3 of the cars are NACS. To use the supercharger network, 1/3 of the cars at CCS just use an adapter. Make the stations cheaper and simpler by having only NACS. Okay, so that's not the disagreement I thought I'd see. I thought I'd see CCS only. Make the stations cheaper and simpler by having only NACS, and you'll build more of them. And going forward, the number of cars with CCS will drop. This is true. It's not that hard. I drive a Tesla at work. They charge my stations with J1772-2009 and a price greater than I pay at home. Less than I pay at home. I just use an adapter. By converting a CCS charger to NACS is simply a case of replacing the plug. Yeah. Also, there's not general availability of converters from CCS to NACS. Not yet. Next year. Everyone says there will be one in about a year, and we need Tesla to finish upgrading their chargers so we can use these converters. Today, there are very few, like 4 sites in the world, in the U.S. Well, I mean, you only need them in the U.S., Canada, Mexico, and Korea, and Japan. So, Singapore? Why would you care about worldwide? He's talking about the Magic Dog. He's both for now. There's the Tesla snacks in the headline. It's just snacks now, yeah. If you want other automakers, FedEx. Well, that was weird. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. You want automakers who haven't made a deal with Tesla to adopt NACS, which is in a few short months will become officially an SAE standard. Maybe you should consider leaving the word Tesla out of the NACS headlines. In other words, automakers might be more willing to adopt NACS than Tesla's NACS. Agreed. And it'll officially become just NACS, or after SAE, well, it'll be J3400 after SAE finalizes and publicizes it as a standard, likely before the end of the year. That's what they claim. SAE J3400 is going to call it something like compact EV charging coupler. They're so terrible at marketing. They just call it NACS. I don't recall exactly, and it might change yet. There's a push to leave it as NACS, but what if some other region decides to use it. No other region's going to use it. Other than the ones that already use J1772 and CCS1. I've got a headache. I'm checking my sugar here. Oh, 99 and dropping. That's why. All right. Don't mind me. Green future. My issue isn't with the word NACS, which people likely continue to call it. My point was that this connector will be published as an official standard in a few months, and once it's published as a standard, it should be referred to without Teslas in front of it. Yeah. In other words, the official change from being Teslas and NACS until SAE standard J3400, and NACS is fine to continue to use if the mindset continues to stay. Yeah, because we don't call CCS the J numbers, especially not the two different J numbers it's got. If the mindset continues to stay Tesla's NACS, then other OEMs may be deterred from going with NACS. It's a possibility. I don't think they're that foolish. People still call the European AC connector the MED case instead of IEC 62196 Type 2. And I still call the J1772 Type 1 connector the Kacey connector. Very few people call it the Kacey connector. Mostly since it was their fault, if I understand. It was their fault. Yeah, they don't have to make a deal. The deal they're making is for the supercharger network. They're not making a deal for the plug. All right, moving on. Actually, before we do that, let's stay on NACS. So Fisker becomes the latest to adopt NACS connector. Not the latest anymore, because I got another article right after this one. Fisker announced today it'll be the latest automaker to adopt Tesla's North American charging standard, giving the customers access to the supercharger network in 2025. And it was pointed out to me that that their announcement didn't actually say adapters in 2024, access native in 2025. They just said in 2025. However, other statements made by people asking them back and forth questions confirmed that they are on the same deal as everybody else. Adapters in 2024, native ports in 2025. So congratulations, Fisker, for doing the right thing. Joining the Supercharger Consortium for your customers. List of automakers that have chosen to adopt NACS continues to grow. However, there's several companies that have not yet convinced of the idea. Hyundai and Volkswagen are two of the more EV-committed legacy car companies that have not chosen to use NACS yet, as well as the Volkswagen Group. Well, the Volkswagen Group minus Electrify America, Canada. And why did I just say it that way? Look at this. Honda confirms it will adopt Tesla's NACS. Tesla's NACS. Let's find the way it doesn't call it that way. The reason I picked them was I wanted to see the comments. They said Tesla's NACS too. Why? Honda and Acura follow GM and adopt Tesla's NACS. So the reason that this one wasn't really a surprise to me is I kept saying that the Acura and the Honda that are based on the Ultium platform excuse me, were likely badge engineered. And now I've seen several reviews of the pre-production Prologue and ZDX that show that there is some hauntedness in there. Like they've got accurate seats, and then some of the interfaces, like cup holders and knobs, are accurate. But a lot of it is just kind of like part for part is the lyric on the ZDX here on screen. So because the people who really build the car are going next, I figured that unless Honda was going to ask for an exemption or something, that they would eventually go there, and they've just chosen not to say anything. And now they've actually chosen to say something. Initially, they'll have the CCS inlet, just like all the other GMs. And then they'll get native ports as well. Let's see. American Honda Motor Company president and CEO, Noya Kaihara, confirmed with a roundtable interview that inside EVs, that the company will join the NACS coalition, the Supercharger Coalition. It's quite important that we also have to push NACS as well. It's clear. When the first Honda and Acura all-electric models will get NACS inlets is still unclear, as other manufacturers are targeting 2025. The Japanese company notes that it depends on General Motors, as the first two all-electric Honda and Acura models are based on GM's Ultium platform and will be produced at GM's plants. And the other one, the Honda Prologue, is based on the Blazer and Equinox EV, while the Acura is based on the Cadillac Lyric. Maybe 2025 or 2026 timing, he notes. For ZDX, I assume it's we clearly depend on GM, so once they do switch to NACS, it'll follow for ZDX after that. GM also signed up for the CCS1 to NACS switch starting in 2025. Yeah, they were the second automaker to make an announcement, beyond Aptera. This is the second legacy major automaker. So there's a big chance that Honda and Acura will be ready for NACS in 2025 or 2026. However, initially, the first BEVs, like the Honda Prologue and the ZDX, will be equipped with the CCS1. Honda is working on its own platform for future electric models, which will follow the first two Ultium-based BEVs. We can assume that as far as North America is considered, those BEVs will support NACS right from the start. It would be foolish not to, if your vehicle's coming out after 2025, to not have the NACS port right there on board. Otherwise, you'll be really hurting your sales if you say, hey, here's an adapter to go with your car. Don't lose it. Yeah, no thanks. I'll just go across the street and get the GM. Meanwhile, Honda, together with several OEMs, BMW Group, General Motors, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and Stellantis, will create a new joint venture for fast charging network in North America. Focus to make it secure, reliable, and accessible, with NACS and CCS1 ports. But they haven't come up with a name or any sort of path forward for this thing, so don't hold your breath for these 5 OEMs to have their charging network up and running anytime soon. Jay Joseph, America Honda's Vice President of Sustainability and Business Development, said, the software needs to be really reliable and have an open infrastructure so it communicates with every OEM software. The hardware needs to be capable of the highest levels of charging, it needs to be secure, and it needs to be reliable. It needs to be accessible. He also mentioned that the very good maintenance of the Tesla supercharging network as something important for the new network. If you look at what's so great about Tesla's supercharging network, it's the maintenance. They stay on top of it. They've got someone on site monitoring the equipment. Not on site. They've got someone remotely monitoring the equipment. They're monitoring it electronically and remotely. They fix it. It's fast. Probably the most important thing. Agreed. While we're talking about NACS and people switching to it, more info has come out from Rivian that says that their customers won't be directly interfacing with Tesla beyond grabbing the handle and plugging into their trucks. You will be paying your charging bill to Rivian, and then Rivian will cut checks or make transfers to Tesla on whatever their agreement is. So it's not a matter of, at least in the case of anyone who follows the version of the deal that Rivian got, um, it's not that you have a chance of really giving up your customers other than any word of mouth while they're sitting there charging, or the constant seeing the Tesla on top of the charging station. Ford talked about having a API access to Tesla's system, so there's probably very similar to what we see with Rivian, because Rivian said that the stations will show up in your map, and they already do for the Magic Dock equipped stations. And Ford said you'd continue to use their app, and it would be just fine. So Ford would probably do the same thing of just issuing Tesla funds based on what their customers do. Where I saw that was in a video. I didn't actually see it in an article, so I didn't have that to bring up on screen. Because they can't pivot anywhere near as fast as they need to in order to stay alive. They won't be allowed to contribute much anyway. Well, they're not going to want to pay GM for a separate production and supply line for their badge engineered first generation. So that's hardly surprising. And that was my thought as well. It's like they could do it, but I don't see them doing it, especially since customers won't want it that way. Thankfully, it won't cost them anything additional except for the Google Apple licensing fees, since it's likely their own people programming the infotainment system, and customers will still get phone protection apps. I can see that happening because, well, I can see that happening, but Ford just went with VW in their cars that are on the VW platform in Europe, so maybe not. What was the winning team? Soon we won't have to see that mess CCS on new cars again in the States and anywhere else in North America. I applaud any who build out charging, but they have a tough hill to climb. Superchargers are robust, they're cheap to install, Tesla has an established monitoring system, and their localized repair network. I think that some of the supercharger repairs are handled by just mobile techs, like the regular car mobile techs. In other cases, they have folks that are from Tesla Energy and Tesla supercharger teams to do it. The chrome hurts the design that runs down the roof. Oh yeah, this one is one I don't know that we discussed it or not. There's now a Tesla universal wall connector. I think we talked about it. It's basically got a D1772 version of the Magic Dock. When you, let's go to x.com. There we go. The only home charging option that can charge any electric vehicle. I think we talked about this last week. Press the button on the handle to charge your non-Tesla. So you got a home edition of the Magic Dock for AC charging. Now you're charging your VW. Push the button to stop your charging, remove the whole thing. Just pull the handle to charge your Tesla. There you go. No more adapters or hassle. It looks a little thicker than the Gen 3. We did it too. I like the adapter for my already purchased V3 wall connector. Plus, whenever it can get added to the app for additional features. Tesla app features will be available starting later this year. So ring to charge them all. Like the auto charging ports so ugly and complex looking. They're also behind gas caps, right in plain sight. That's true. They are almost all of them behind gas caps. There are a few of them that are like this, or that like the Kia and Hyundai Group. Basically, their charging ports are still just as ugly, but they actually hid them in the taillights, just like Tesla did. All right, so let's go to Tesla.com and shop to Tesla. See what they're doing with it now. Right, so this is the regular wall connector. $475. I don't want a coupon on it. That's the regular one. Charging. Universal wall connector is $475 for the NACS only, and $595 for the universal. The CCS1 adapter is $175 if you already have a CCS car, or a car that speaks CCS, I should say. It's a little bit more for me because my car didn't speak CCS. I had to get a control board, and then the existing adapter for Tesla from J1772 to Tesla to NACS is $50. It's not $50 there. Probably because it got more moving parts with the J1772 component. Wall connector wire box kit. Glass faceplate. All right, moving on. So that was NACS. Let's just see if electric had a different take than the other guys. It's quite important. We also have to push NACS. It's clear. This was the most half-hearted announcement. It was just GM is switching to NACS, so I guess we will have to also, as I said it would be. They haven't even negotiated an agreement with Tesla. Honda clearly hasn't given any EVs any thought yet. If they had, they would have understood just how important charging is, and they would have jumped on NACS bandwagon weeks ago, and they would have done it enthusiastically and not grudgingly. They should have made the announcement immediately after GM's, but not only didn't they do that, they didn't even include it with their Acura unveiling. Instead, they mentioned it on some blog. By the way, good luck trying to ship any Acuras when GM seems utterly incapable of building Ultium vehicles. They are building Hummers one at a time, and they have built barely more than 1,000 Lyrics. GM is really going to have any capacity for Honda when they can't build any of their own vehicles? Good question. The other question I have, though, is now that we have a Japanese automaker on board, can you buy these GM vehicles with the Honda badges in Japan? And if you can, that would be the first Japanese or Korean automaker committing to NACS in their home country. Why is that important? Because right now they are, well, at least the 100 volt side, they're on North American standard at 100 volts. So they use J1772 and CHAdeMO and CCS1. And that's got to play into a little bit why the Hyundai group is dragging their feet on this. Not just that they have terrible performance on upconverting 400 volts to 800 volts. So if these vehicles are available in Japan as well, then that would also make this the first overseas deployment of NACS as NACS rather than just superchargers, which would be really cool. And Eddie asks, come on, will Fisker ever happen? Well, old Fisker has happened and went out of business. And then the new Fisker, I believe they had a delivery event recently of a handful of cars. I haven't seen any on the road or seen anybody talking about it, but let's take a look. Let's take a look right after this. Yeah, they're probably going to use GM's deal to access Supercharger network and get adapters. All right, so let's do this. So Eddie's comment back up on screen. Deliveries. June 19th. Fisker Ocean deliveries in the US will start on June 19th after some delays. So June 27th is when it actually happened for Electric's reporting. And revenue growth. Well, since we were already at Electric, let's just use that one again. Oh, that's not them. They've launched customer deliveries in the USA. Oh, it's Elect Drive. They have a similar logo. Well, there we go. Moving on. All right, so I got to read the US Utilities article. And then we have this one coming up. New York is now the world's first city to mandate EV rideshare fleets by 2030. That's close. I guess they're looking at the success that Uber has had with their situation and the likes of Revel. So if they can do it, you can do it. Especially since the cars now cost less than the U.S. average price to get into, and not just for Tesla, but like we got Bolts and Leafs. Let's see. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and City Taxi Limousine Commissioner David Doe, I'm assuming that's Doe, announced the newly proposed rules for green rides, which requires the transition of New York City's rideshare fleet to EVs or wheelchair accessible vehicles by 2030. I don't know why you can't have both wheelchair accessible and an EV. But that's one way around it. I think the London EV cabs are EV or wheelchair accessible already. Price parity by 2027 is what it looks like. Additionally, state regulations dictate that all new passenger cars, pickup trucks, SUVs sold in the state be zero emission by 2035. It's just that your Ubers and taxis have to be there before. Well, it just says rideshare. But before that, by 5 years. It's proven demand for TLC vehicle licenses, so financial and legal requirements will shift rideshare drivers to driving EVs. Carrot meets stick. Lyft and Uber together, which make up 78,000 rideshare vehicles in New York City, have also committed to transitioning by 2030. So you had to go there anyway if you wanted to stay on your platform before the state came in. But this will get any of those other ones that aren't already there. New York City has 200 DC fast chargers, 1,000 level 2 chargers, and the Department of Transportation and private firms plan to rapidly expand New York's charging infrastructure to meet demands for a larger electric fleet. Pre-COVID, when I took my Model X to New York and spent the night there, the parking garage had 3 or 4 wall connectors, but they wanted $100 just to park, and they wanted another $50 to plug in. So I opted not to plug in. Because they're lousy with superchargers there. There are enough of them. Like they could hit one on the way out, and that's exactly what I did. Meanwhile, in London, not mandated as such by the city, Uber's already said they aim for 100% EV by 2025. It's even more aggressive. And it already seems a significant majority of Uber vehicles are EVs. In the past year or so, I can't recall a single ride in Uber in London that wasn't in an EV. There you go. Tesla's taking steps to launch FSD beta in China. Good luck with that. planning to form a local operations team of around 20 people, initially to bring FSD into the Chinese market. Local media outlet 36KR said in a report today. Top comment is, honestly, it's rather depressing that North America is considered to have it good when $15,000 only gets you level 2 autonomy. FSD software that is tied to the car only and cannot be transferred to another vehicle, aside from this special one-time amnesty deal, which at first wasn't all that great, now is somewhat acceptable if you can make a car purchase happen in that time. And worse, Tesla's unwilling to stand behind their product. Being able to blame the driver in all instances of autopilot failing to work accurately is why I don't see FSD achieving anything higher than level 2 anytime soon. So here, Tesla does mark all the crashes within some short amount of time, I think 5 to 60 seconds, as an autopilot or FSD crash. But it doesn't mean that they're going to pay for it. You're still liable. They'll just record it as a computer crash. And again, not that the computer was right, or not the computer was in control. Automakers looking to hire hundreds of data labelers, according to the report. While there is credibility to the report, I don't think you should hold your breath. On top of the technical side of things, there's no easy task. It's like an uphill battle just to have the regulator approve it. I wouldn't expect to launch until next year, but that's just a guess. Tesla is financially incentivized to launch FSD beta in China, since it has a fleet there of hundreds of thousands of vehicles that could buy the FSD package to access the new features. There's another part of this all is that they'll need to launch one of their Tesla data centers in China, as Chinese customer data is not allowed to leave the country. And the labelers don't have that much work to do necessarily if they can import the worldwide data into the training. They just have to get the local stuff and then use the use the Chinese coordinate system, because you can't use the worldwide GPS or European or Russian GPS systems. Not that those other ones have GPS, but the satellite navigation systems coordinate system in China, because China has messed it up on purpose, as if that would protect them from our missiles. It would not. So they'll have to get the maps lined up correctly, and they'll have to any differences in labeling and markings, as well as local driving customs. But again, as Electric says, I wouldn't hold your breath. But it's a good next place to try it for sure, especially since the EU has given them such trouble about getting it in there. Let's see. That's certainly a way to look at it. All right, so moving on. Speaking of level 2 self-driving tech, Ford has revamped Blue Cruise hands-free driving access, including a free trial for new EV owners. Pull a little feather out of the Tesla hat there and give them free trial. See if they'll buy. What else have they done to revamp it? In 2021 on the Mustang. Came in on the Lightning with 1.2 hands-free lane change. It works on all these roads in blue. Okay. The pre-map thing just gets me every time, because doesn't matter what road I'm on, mine works on some level. Some roads better than others. The plans for another 500,000 model year 2024 vehicles to be equipped with the necessary hardware. Ford is making availability of the hands-free driving features easier and more flexible, whether you sign up the day your EV purchase or a year or two later. All right, so there's the subscription, but where's the new? What's new about it? Blue Cruise hardware is standard on factory vehicles, so that's another page out of Tesla's book. Freedom to activate and access driver assistance technology whenever they choose, whether it's at the time of purchase or 3 years down the road. Is that what's new about it? That you can rent it? Looks like it. And the free trial. If a customer chooses to wait, they'll receive the 90-day trial and can choose to decide to activate an annual hands-free driving plan for $800 or a $75 subscription per month. And again, Blue Cruise can be activated or deactivated at any point during the vehicle ownership period. Looking ahead, Ford says it will roll out Blue Cruise 1.3 soon, beginning with the Mustang Mach-E units from 2021 to 2023, and promises to make hands-free highway driving even better. So let's see, 75 times 12. So you get a $100 discount if you buy the whole year instead of doing it month to month. And what was it if you just buy it outright? Did they say? Mm-mm-mm. All right, let's search for a dollar sign. So $2,100 up front, which is considerably less than the enhanced autopilot, let alone FSD. Driverless technology will get cheap and then eventually become standard. This is true, even if you don't own the car. Ford is shooting for another revenue stream, like all electronics. It will get cheaper and better every year. I see it being standard equipment on some luxury cars in 5 to 10, or in 10 years. Except that the article said it's standard today on Ford and Tesla. Unless you mean standard access, and then I can see that. Yeah. I'm still waiting for Blue Cruise 1.2 on my 2022 hybrid F-150. No idea when I'll get updated. I love using Blue Cruise on long trips. The only gripes are that Blue Cruise 1.2 says it will resolve having to turn off Blue Cruise to change lanes. Wants to turn right next to the semis in the next lane over when you pass it. Oh, I see. It's running too close to the trucks, whereas the Tesla offsets in the lane. Chip shortage must be over if Ford decides that they can ship Blue Cruise hardware on every vehicle. That might be the other change right there, is that it's on every vehicle. But they didn't really specify anything that seemed like a technology change. My other car is a Tesla and if Blue Cruise 1.2 lives up to what I've read, I'd venture to say that Blue Cruise 1.2 is better than what Tesla ships as the default autopilot. Can't change lanes, can't take highway exits, etc. Yeah. Not enhanced, not navigated autopilot. Moving on. Good news! Good news, everyone! The Chevy Bolt and Bolt EUV will continue longer than expected. They're going to finish out the year rather than stopping next month or so. So rather than stopping in November, it's going to stop instead. It was up front in everybody else's article. Another apparent last-minute decision by GM. They continue to fuel an underlying perception about their struggle to handle this EV transition smoothly. Although I'm a GM customer, second Bolt, I wonder why the direction is unable to control the corporate message and project an image of a well-planned deployment. The number of blunders lately is troubling. GM has only sold 2 other EVs in the market this year, the GMC Hummer and Cadillac Lyriq, both based on Ultium. And as we're hearing, Ultium is giving them trouble. Because the Zevo 400, it had to pause for a little bit because they couldn't get enough batteries. And then Mary announced plans for a Ultium-based Bolt, but not next year. It says longer, but didn't have a date. Longer than initially expected. It's extended. And on this November 2073, It doesn't say when it stops here in this article. Oh well, you have more time. Here's why convertible EVs and electric sports cars are so scarce. I'd say for the same reason they're scarce on the fossil market. There's just not that large of a market for them. All right, let's see. Yeah, and if you're building a unit body, it's going to be even harder with a EV. Just because you have that much more weight down at the bottom of it. So EV packaging is part of it, yep. Weight and safety are other challenges, okay. MG Cyberster. I mean, there are some, there's just not many. Like the original Roadster. Mazda Miata is not an EV. All right, so here's the article if you want to read the full deal. And moving on. Study. 1 in 5 EV charging attempts fails. Yeah, so I just watched a video from Motor Coach World. They were loaned an EV bus powered by Proterra by ABB. And they loved the bus. But oh man, they did not have anything nice to say about Electrify America. Yes, it wasn't really built to charge buses as far as like parking was concerned. But their main concern was the reliability. Like when you've got 4 hours of straight DC fast charging to 80%, and you can't get the thing turned on, or you can't keep the session to stay on, and you have to go out back to the vehicle and touch the handle and touch the screen to restart the session if it fails for some reason. Like if somebody pokes your bus buttons or whatever, or somebody's really pissed off because you're blocking 8 stalls and they try and unplug your bus. Now you got to go touch it again, unplug, replug, and but more than angry EV owners that were distracted at the sight of seeing a bus charging for 4 hours straight was the fact that EA was not reliable for them. They did point out that for the buses that run a route and have corporate charging that's not EA, they don't have these problems because they've got the proper parking space as far as size, and they've got reliability, and so it's EA that they calling out. That was the consistent theme for the full 30 minutes of the video. So I can see that. When they said, what is it, 2/3 of the EVs are Teslas, and 1 in 5 might have a failure, because 1 in 5 would be not Tesla, right? All right. 20% of EV drivers who visit a charging station do not charge their vehicles. The reasons range from chargers being inoperable to long lines, according to JD Power. Okay, so that includes Tesla right there, especially in California. If you had to wait in line and you went somewhere else. Miami, Port St. Lucie, Florida. That's a terrible way to string those areas together. Miami, Port St. Lucie, Fort Lauderdale area had it worse. Failing to charge their vehicles 35% of the time. Seattle, Tacoma, Denver, Aurora, and Dallas Fort Worth areas each saw no charging at 29% of visits. The lowest frequency was in Cleveland, Akron, Canton area, where drivers were unable to charge during 12% of the visits. That's actually downright good compared to the rest. Public charging satisfaction data by state. Top 3 public charging locations: retail center, parking garage, hotel. Yeah, I don't like charging in parking garages just because I tow so much, and usually the trailers don't fit in there. I like the hotels because they're open all the time, but I actually prefer gas stations because you get in and out, and they're open 24 hours. Most of them. There's one nearby that is not, which is annoying. But on the way there's a nice rest area on the way in or the way out, so you can take appropriate action. All right, level 2 stations, 571 out of 1,000. That's not very good. DC fast charger is actually a little bit better at 595 out of 1,000. 25% of people find public charging experience unreliable. When I charge at non-Tesla sites, I can see where that's coming from. As a Kroger, I used to charge at Voltas at Wegmans when we were in Virginia before the other supercharger came online. All right, so if you want to look into that, I'll provide a link here. Moving on. Cybertrucks garner their own security team with Lake crackdown. Tesla Security has its hands full for the next several months, as if any new images are any indication of the team's task will be at Gigafactory. They've been called upon to keep the pickup out of the lens of employee camera and possibly other onlookers. However, could not keep Jeff Roberts, the local quad operator and observer of Tesla Austin-based factory, from snapping new pictures of two brand new Cybertrucks charging on the factory property. There we go. Tesla Security is out in front. They're charging up. As you can see, a Model Y security vehicle is parked directly in front of the two new Cybertruck units, potentially to fend off any attempt to photograph from employees. Maybe. As reported yesterday, Tesla's laid down the law. Okay, we'll talk about that article next. Laid down the law in terms of what consequences lie ahead for their employees that leaked images, its equipment, or production lines. For the past several months, Tesla's remained relatively tight-lipped regarding the progress of the truck, not giving any indication of what pricing may be or what configurations and powertrains may be available. Only information on Cybertruck's progress has been available is what has been given to media outlets through leaks from employees, along with vague details that have been given by Tesla throughout the past 8 months. Security efforts to defend and protect the Cybertruck have been increased at Gigafactory, Texas, due to the nature of the vehicle. In the past 4 years, people have speculated heavily on what the pickup truck would bring after being unveiled in North America. A few things remain, such as delivery date, pricing, and configurations. Tesla confirmed the truck will be released this year, and with more indications of crash testing being underway, it seems we're finally close. Elon is really trying to hide something, another huge fail. Don't Tesla people have like electronic scrambler that creates defense shield around the factory? That's illegal. FCC would have a word with them. Are these two trucks different sizes? To the left, parking lights on, looks a bit smaller. I think they just didn't park in the same spot in the space. Like this guy might be parked further back than this guy. All right, so let's look at this crackdown. Laying down the law. Unfortunately, maybe the days of getting pictures of Cybertruck may be over, or at least much harder to get. Yeah, but it's almost out, so it'll be fine. Tesla sent a message to employees this morning, warning them of new, more severe consequences for anyone caught taking pictures or video of the vehicle. It's official. Employees caught taking pics of Cybertruck will get removed from the company. Woo. But I think that was already kind of where they were going with that. Effective today, any employees or contractors found taking photos or videos on site of anything related to Cybertruck, e.g. vehicle, parts, production line, etc., without official business need or justification, i.e. dictated by job scope and validated by security during initial contact, will be immediately escorted off-site pending HR investigation and follow-up contact. Cybertruck team will issue photo passes, stickers to appropriate personnel in the future to help expedite interactions with security for business-related photography and videography. Tesla is normally really good at keeping info secret. Cybertruck is just too hard to contain. Can't put the pictures on the road. Full speed production test is imminent. Probably. The irony of this notice being photoed. Yeah, but that always goes at any corporate or government announcement of not leaking is people will leak the not to leak notice. I'm surprised they even allow phones inside the factory. Most factories don't allow that. I think we don't get video and pics from other manufacturers due to the lack of something interesting being made. I disagree. I've worked for a company where it was possible to get fired and escorted just for taking my phone out of my pocket unless you had a written permit. Meeting rooms had locked boxes and noise canceling. Everyone had to deposit your phone. Regardless of their security efforts, no one is interested in what the business is making in the same way people are making the Cybertruck. I'll give you that. Anyway. And that was the end of the article. First comment on that article was, likes or paying job? Question mark. What a quandary. You'd be surprised the amount of people who screw it up. Not being able to share something today, even if it's sensitive, is hard to do. They'd be better off if they allowed them to, after necessary, edit, as censorship can help cover out over sensitive parts as done for movies and ages. Moving on. Cybertruck fleet spotted at Fremont factory. Looks like Fremont just received a shipment of 9 Cybertrucks at Fremont. Interesting. That is weird. Because they don't build them there. Must be some executives or something. Like, what do you need them at Fremont for? Unless you're going to put them on the test track at Fremont, but pretty sure that Texas has a test track as well. Maybe not the same one, but they've got facilities. You choose any color you want, as long as it's gray. Supercharger Network has topped JD Power EV public charging study. Segment average is 654. So superchargers are 739 for DC fast charging. Charge point is 606. EVgo is 569. And Electrify America is trailing the pack at 538. All right, then. JD Power is worthless. JD Power is not all that worthful. 739 out of 1,000 is 73.9%, which is considered a solid C on school assignments. Even though Tesla has the best rated network, this demonstrates there's room for improvement. Yeah, they've got room to improve. Pricing, availability in Southern California, sighting, like some places you can't go to the bathroom on late night trips. That's why when I review them, I take off points for that. No surprise here, 8 years of using superchargers, I've only experienced one dead stall. Similar for me, but it wasn't just one. Yeah, they are now, but they weren't when we started. Oh, he's talking about Electrify America. The Tesla one is slow to update, but it's not to the point I've ever argued with anybody about it not being working. Tesla charge screen. Note that he still has an ID on the front. Yes. Yeah, and all the others should get a clue if they're not doing this. The software's so bad when chargers fail, they don't even know it, and they argue saying it's working despite the fact it's not. Hard to imagine a company that can be that bad and entirely unaware of their faults and never bother checking the system. So yeah, that's about EA. Moving on. All right, so I did get some other next articles for Texas that weren't worded the way that Fred did it. That's the Cybertruck turning radius looks insane in recent footage from Joe Tegmeyer. There's his tweets. All right. don't want to watch the whole video. I just wanted to show you guys the turning radius. There we go. Zoom. High speed turn. And it didn't have to back up, K-turn, or use their area there. Pretty cool. Thanks, Joe. And then Matthew Dunnigan Ryan, four-wheel steering in action. Yeah, this one we already saw months ago. Moving on. Cruise Robotaxi finds itself stuck in wet concrete in San Francisco. That's unfortunate. The Cruise Robotaxi is, truly driverless. And they've had their issues over the months. Robotaxi named Oasis ended up driving into wet cement. After a small distance, the front wheels sank into freshly poured concrete, rendering the vehicle inoperable. Well, our AVs drove into construction area and stopped in wet concrete. This vehicle has already been recovered, and we're in communication with the city about this. This supplier, Cattel, CATL, Cattle, offers LFP battery that can charge up to 250 miles in 10 minutes. Now, Kacey, you don't do battery development stories. Why are you doing this one now? Because allegedly they're going into production next year with this thing, like volume production. So it's called Godlike Movement in the translation. Adds up to 400 kilometers, 250 miles of range in 10 minutes. We don't know what vehicle that's based on, but Tesla had said something similar using their best range-rated car for a similar amount of range in a short amount of minutes like that. So, it's pretty cool. With such a battery in place, vehicles powered by Cattel's Shenzhen, which is Godlike Movement, could drive from New York to Boston after a quick 10-minute charge. It's 215 miles range. That's pretty close to the time it takes for a typical stop at a gas station. This is true. Totally true. Expected to be the world's first 4C super fast charging LFP battery. LFP batteries are known for their affordable price and chemical stability, but they have lower energy density than other battery chemistries, which could limit range. And they also aren't known for being the fastest charging Teslas either. Mass production of the next gen LFP battery is expected around the end of 2023, with deliveries taking place in 2024. And it remains to be seen if the new Cattel battery will be used by key clients like Tesla, though it would be unsurprising if it gets used for future vehicles. Such a battery, after all, would be a good match for Tesla's affordable next-gen vehicle, which would be produced at Gigafactory Mexico in about 9 months. After groundbreaking, anyway. That's pretty cool. All right, so Rivian R1S is hailed as the first production EV to finish the Rubicon Trail. Stock Rivian R1S recently achieved something that has never been done in the past. As noted in a recent post by the EV automaker, the R1S was able to successfully complete the Rubicon Trail. The vehicle was able to achieve that on a single charge. Nice. Rubicon Trail is regarded as the United States' premier off-road trails, one of the most difficult. Off-road enthusiasts will note that while it is possible to complete the Rubicon Trail in about 8 to 10 hours, those who visit the area are highly advised to spend a minimum of 2 days. This is because the Rubicon Trail offers so much, from places with stunning views to swimming areas and places for serious rock crawling. Rivian tweets or posts on X are our stock quad motor R1S is the first production EV to complete the Rubicon Trail, one of the most challenging off-road trails in North America. Thanks to @TrailRubicon for working to keep the trail open and sustainable. Details on the historic run are here at rivian.co/Rubicon Trail. Let's copy that link, paste it in here. Opened it in a new tab, so we might look at it. Let's take a look at the video.
Good, keep coming. Nice. Hold your breath.
don't see most Rivians do this. But there are certainly some owners who will be interested in giving this a try now. Just knowing that they can do it stock. Nice. The team from Rivian seems to have taken advantage of a full Rubicon Trail experience as the R1S entered the trail through the Loon Lake entrance at 7:45 on Monday, August 7th, and the R1S exited the trail at the Tahoma staging site at around 3:30 Wednesday, August 9th. Rivian noted that the R1S entered the trail with about 80% state of charge, and after a 2-day trip, the vehicle had about 10% battery left, which was enough to reach a nearby level 2 charger. Wow, that's impressive. Rivian noted the quad motor R1S that completed the trail was fully stock, including its 34-inch Pirelli all-season tires. The only additional requirement was a set of steel rock sliders, front tow hitch receiver, and roof rack. The all-electric SUV experienced no mechanical failures during the 2-day journey, nor did it require a change of tires. Just like other vehicles on the trail, however, the R1S did earn some honorary bumps and scrapes. It's part of why most owners won't try it. It's an expensive vehicle. Matt Trainham, Rivian Director of Vehicle Testing, shared some thoughts on the R1S's achievement. Crossing the Rubicon Trail in a more sustainable way than has ever been done before makes me hopeful for the future of off-roading, he said. That is really cool. It's nice publicity for Rivian. My associates have the Rivian R1T are uniformly satisfied with the vehicle. I wish them well. I had to look up the length of the Rubicon Trail, 12 miles. I'm sure it's a total beast of a trail with some crazy inclines, both up and down and sideways. But going from 80% to 10% across 12 miles, no matter how rough or slow, seems a bit excessive. You're lifting the vehicle up. Oh, and air conditioning. Shows a lot. Shows the motors used in Rivian are extremely inefficient at the loads and RPMs necessary for this trail. Knowing a little bit on how motors work, I consider this to be totally expected. Motors at 0 RPM are 0% efficient. And at 2 miles per hour, the motors are probably turning 200 to 300 RPM. That rounds to 0 when you consider they have a peak efficiency of around 10,000 RPM. I don't see a good way around that without big hardware change, like 2-speed transmissions or a radically different motor. There will probably be a niche market for off-road vehicles that are good at this type of thing, but it doesn't represent customers to change enough customers to change 4x4s this drastically. I'm now curious how much it takes a gas vehicle to do this trail, and if they bring gas with them. I think it's more like 22 miles, with the standard advice being carry extra fuel because you might well need it, especially in colder, wetter, icy snow conditions, i.e. the track is insanely difficult and it takes ages to navigate with lots of energy burnt per meter, no matter what your ride is. Then you also have to consider what extra purposes the vehicle battery was used for, while most ice won't be lighting, heating, refrigerator, entertainment, etc. That's true. Very low speeds where regen simply doesn't work compared with a near continuous need for high torque. Yep. All right, so let's run the Rubicon Trail, 3 gallons. So, oh wait, that's the energy equivalent. Green car reports. Marlin Crawler. Let's see how much Marlin Crawler takes to get up the trail. How much fuel have you guys typically burned in running through the Rubicon? It'd be interesting to hear what folks with different drivetrains use up. My first time, I'm going at a 4.3 Vortec in my toy. I have a 12-gallon gas tank. I'm thinking that I may need to bring some extra fuel. I burned half a tank from Loon to Springs and back. All Toyota, I get crappy gas mileage on the street. I usually bring a few gallons extra because I hate the idea of running out of fuel, but I never end up needing it. I usually end up putting it into lessen the chance of any getting spilled. I've driven across Placerville, Loon, Springs, up Cadillac, back to Loon, and back to Placerville on one tank before. It sounds like a whole tank, though. I might have been running on fumes. Yep. Don't know, my gas gauge is not very accurate. My 884 pre-runner running 92 CPI. I have the stock 15-gallon tank, and I brought 2 extra gallons, Randaloon and Caddy, and didn't need the extra gas. Overall, I used 10 gallons of gas. So, yes, it wasn't an efficient run for the Rivian, but it was still efficient compared to gas. So there we go. Let's look at Rivian's little microsite, blog, whatever for this. Photos of the team. Dead end. Oh, picture of it. Oh, it's like Willie's Jeep. Got some articulation going there. This guy standing inside the car and on a rock. All right. I'm going to read through this later. I'm in skimming mode right now. Cruise explains driverless robotaxi traffic fiasco in San Francisco. Which one is this? Oh, this was the one we talked about last week with the cell tower situation. That's a Cybertruck sighting confuses CHP Button Willow. Strange trucks. The California Highway Patrol Button Willow took to social media for help in identifying the unusual trucks they spotted on car haulers. Oh man! So this is back to where Elon said there are no badges on the truck. If they'd seen a Tesla badge, they'd know it was a Tesla, but they didn't have such a thing. And eventually, as people learn what the truck is, they'll know it's a Tesla. Let's see. For people who are into EVs, and especially Tesla, the Cybertruck is probably the most anticipated EV ever. And the abundance of news about the eccentric truck proves that. But while it's tempting to generalize and think everyone's excited about the imminent launch of a Tesla vehicle, the truth is many people wouldn't even know what it was if they saw the Cybertruck in real life. It actually happened to the CHP, whose officers who saw not only one, but several Tesla Cybertrucks being transported by car haulers, 3 vehicles each, on Interstate 5 yesterday. On their Facebook page, several photos of the uncamouflaged Tesla Cybertrucks were being hauled northbound on I-5. They seemed puzzled as to what the trucks were seeing. While on patrol this morning, one of our units spotted a few car haulers loaded with some strange trucks traveling northbound on Interstate 5. I wonder what they are, where they're going. That's what they posted to their Facebook page. People still ask me who makes my Tesla. Tesla, who does that? Where are they made? Is it some kind of European thing? No, it's made in California. Company called Tesla. All right. At first, we thought police officers were trolling their Facebook followers, but it seems they were genuinely unaware of the strange-looking truck's make and model, especially since they featured no visible badging. However, responses to the post showed that Facebook users were very familiar with the vehicle. That being said, some users expressed their surprise that Cybertruck was not canceled and is actually going into production. There's a lot of lies out there about these things, so yeah, I can understand them believing that bullcrap. Now try to imagine the surprise to average Joe and James when initial deliveries of Cybertruck begin later this year. The truck will become a common sight on U.S. roads. Yep. And it will be a moment to remember and will remind people of CEO Musk's February remarks that the Cybertruck would effectively change the look of roads. Judging by Button Willow's comments, that the car haulers were headed north on I-5. The most likely destination for the Cybertrucks is Fremont. So those are the 9 that were in Fremont. Not the several that were going to crash testing and fuel economy testing out east. The company's engineering headquarters is also in the area at Palo Alto. All right, that's pretty cool. Already look dated, only because you've been looking at it for 4 years. Let's see, there's more to the change from ICE drivetrains to BEV drivetrains that has to be tackled. The institutionalization of the world of liquid fuel in all vehicles. There's now a movement of stored electrons in all vehicles taking place. Excuse me. Going down again. Probably towards lunchtime. I don't know, Blair. We saw a couple of these being transported one at a time on Tesla semis. All right, so I told you I wasn't done with e-bikes. VanMoof tells their customers to take back their bikes before it's too late. For VanMoof owners, all hope is not lost, as other service and maintenance operations have sprung up. Let's see. Things haven't gone too smoothly. Talked about in more detail. Oh, by the way, if you have one of these and it's not broken, you need to figure out how to get on this third-party server so your bike can stop working. Electric's article didn't mention what would happen to unclaimed bikes after August 18th. Folks who previously left their bikes in for repairs and servicing would now have to pick up their bikes, presumably in an unrepaired state, before August 18th deadline. Hopefully not like half repaired. Like if it was just like the same way you brought it in versus being worse than when you brought it in. So this once again brings us up to right to repair. Build yourself, fix it yourself. Yeah, but not everybody wants to do it themselves. Yeah, there's so many cruise stories today. Cruise robotaxi collides with San Francisco fire truck, 1 injured. I'm guessing somebody on the fire truck, because if the person in the back was injured, then it hit really hard while they weren't wearing a seatbelt. Crews can't catch a break these days. Robotaxi is being involved in 3 separate incidents over this week alone. That's why. Moving on. The 2024 Toyota BZ4X is now cheaper to lease than a Camry hybrid. So if you're into leasing, might as well go electric. Assuming that you won't need a DC fast charge in sub-freezing temperatures. It's $12,000 higher starting price, but the lease price is just $528 per month compared to $552 for the Camry. Cool stuff. Okay, so with that, I want to thank Zachary for your donation. I want to thank all of our channel members and patrons for your also continued contributions. And that article that I was going to discuss with Patrick, we'll see if he's around next week, and we'll discuss it then. And I'll catch you on the flip side. And I'm off to eat lunch and then enjoy the rest of my anniversary. So see y'all soon. Catch you on the flip side.